Kayvon, we talk a lot in the off season, have some candid conversations, and the things that you say to me are like, what do I need to do better? How can what do you see? And then during training camp, you talk to the general media about, you watch film from last year, you're not looking at what you did well, you're looking at what you didn't do. Why?
I mean, highlights are what we all see, right? Highlights are easy. You know, you pick out your best plays and people think that that's their resume. But in the league, you start to see that there are so many more plays that go into being a complete player. So for me, you know, coming from my first year to second year, I knew that, okay, the things that I'm good at are my gifts, and the things that I need to get better at need to become my strengths.
It's interesting you say complete player, because there is this public perception, well, he was drafted 5 and he should be doing X, Y, and Z. The complete player, as I see it, is the player who does the things that go unnoticed, but that help his team. And what about that part of your game that you can say, I'm contributing every play, y'all just don't see it?
I think it attributes to football evolving, right? When you looked at pass rushers, when you looked at guys who played my position, who used to play it, it was a different body type. They were bigger, they were stronger, they were, more stout. And now we've transitioned to getting as much speed on the field as possible. So if you notice how Wink calls a defense, it's about, doing your job. Everybody can, a lot of other teams have kind of like a front coverage where you just let, your great players go play. But when you kind of work as a whole team, it's almost like, an orchestra in how it happens. So for me, whether I'm dropping back, making a quarterback, second think, taking a check down or looking at the tight end, or I'm, just holding the edge so that the blitz can hit, so that, because sometimes you have rushers that just go rush, and now the rush and the blitz is not working together, right? So me, sometimes, understanding that, yeah, they're gonna send a chip at me, but I'm taking 2 guys so that somebody else is free, or, I'm playing to the slide so that, my other guys can come free and make plays. But, it's all kind of it's a chess game when you talk about, being in certain positions to ultimately come to the, goal.
So if you're holding the edge and your middle linebackers are running free and make a tackle for loss, a lot of people don't see that, but your opponents will see that, right? Do you get a chance to, as you're looking at film and you guys are reviewing, you say, this is why they didn't run that anymore?
For me, those are the best highlights, because when you, I don't have to make the tackle, but when I stuff that O-lineman in, at the point of attack, and there's no drive, the edge is set, and guys can go run, it feels good. Sometimes, even when offensive linemen and they stack up, I like, talking trash to the guy, letting them know, like, you're not getting past me, right? This is where the play ends.
So you start the season, the splash plays aren't there. It's just the blue collar work, right? Then all of a sudden, these sacks are starting to come in bunches. Was there ever a point, either your rookie year or currently, where you heard the outside noise and started to say to yourself, man, are they using me right? Should I be doing X, Y, and Z?
That's the poison, right? And you talk about the poison, and like everybody who has a plan, when you get punched in the mouth, you get nervous about that plan, and you start to have all these other ideas come in your head, and that's when like the trust and the process, you throw everything out the window and it turns into fight or flight. But I've had a lot of people tell me, over my years, that like, you got to stay on the yellow brick road, stick to the script. You can't say the plan doesn't work if you don't give it, your everything. So for me, it's not necessarily that I let it deter me from the mission, but it does start to kind of play in your mind like, okay, well, am I doing everything that I should be doing? It's kind of understanding that like, I just got to stay consistent and keep chopping wood. I can't really, after the first game, people were acting like it was the end of the season, like we didn't have 16 more games, but now we're here, and I just got to keep going.
Before we get into the sack that I labeled the ERD, the electronic revolving door, you seem to be doing different things every sack. It wasn't the same pass rush move, right? Yeah. Were you kind of feeling out the offensive tackle to see what you were going to do next so that he wouldn't expect it, because you had 2 rushes, 2 sacks off the right side, and then the left side was a move that probably one of the more difficult things a pass rusher can do, to go a full move inside and then get back outside around. In your head, did you say, this is what I'm going to do with it, or it just happened?
So it's funny, take you back to that game. I knew how they were setting, right? I knew 77 was a high hand puncher. I knew his feet kind of got stuck, and then 61, he let a lot of people beat him around the edge. So I knew that, there were certain moves that were going to work. During the game, the first couple moves I threw was I think it was almost the first drive. I threw, it looked like a swipe, but in my head it was a stab club, but it just kind of came just as fast. So, the swipe to the rip, and I got around him. And then after that, I ran a inside move that didn't work versus 77. I knew it didn't work. So I hit him with a jab. I kind of jabbed him and then swiped again and finished outside. And then on that last move, I had went to 61 before, and I tried to run the edge. It didn't work. So then I told myself, like, all right, I'm gonna bring a jab in and see if I can sit him down. And when I jabbed, it felt like I could have took it, but then it's like the quick thinking and the training and all that. Was like, okay, once he played back, I didn't have it. I got back around.
Yeah, that was
I would say that's my best. When I looked at it, I was like, it's probably one of
I mean, you should allow yourself to see that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Right? Like all the other ones, you can say, okay, I can do that. That one, you should allow yourself to see. So you lost one of your brothers via trade, Leonard Williams, right? Great locker room guy. Yeah. Leadership is there. Now that he's gone, is there more on players like yourself to assume that leadership void? I know you lead in your own way, but then when you see a guy like him who leads by example, is there more that you guys feel that you should do, or just do your
Definitely. No, I mean, it feels different. When you're on the field, you usually have another presence, another leader, and now that's gone, another guy is up. And now it's an unfamiliarity with playing, what I'm saying? It's that team chemistry. And it's kind of like not rebuilding it, but it's formulating it and putting people in different positions in your mind, if that makes sense. So it's like, you look inside and it's like, okay, I got Bobby, I got X, I got these guys, all right, I'm good. Now it's a whole new face, a whole new guy, in there. So you have to kind of create that. And then because he was a leader, now it's like, okay, a guy like me who's an upcoming leader, it's like, okay, well, it's time. I got to speed up a little bit. Yeah, it's time to grow up, and now know that the other guys stepping in are going to look at me, because now I'm that guy that's kind of next up, or I'm the guy that's making plays.
Last question. You head to Las Vegas. They've had a lot of changes in the last 24 to 48 hours. So different coach, different coordinator. Now it's a different quarterback. What is the process of preparing for a guy that you haven't seen? Is it, let me look at what their offensive linemen do, because those leopards may not change their spot. The scheme may, but those guys, how do you prepare for a quarterback that you haven't dealt with?
So me personally, I always start with the offensive line, right? And every individual player has their tendencies. The NFL has become something of the NBA where guys are matching up, right? So you got to win your one-on-one. So I always start with the O-line and looking at their keys. And then from there, I got to go back and look at the film of, pocket presence and things like that to understand, where does he favor? Most quarterbacks favor a certain tackle, or they drop back, favor a certain side of their body, or even a certain wide receiver, or maybe to the field or to the boundary. So just starting to pick up on those tendencies and, knowing that, yes, there is a new guy in, but they still are all coached by the same people. And, even though there's a, new administration, they still kind of rely on what they've been doing before. So, taking the little keys and little things that I can get and still, being able to focus in on, my main job.
Well, keep up the good work, man, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Appreciate you.